How to make zero down offers. This is a role-playing session, part 2 of 2 parts. And I think you're going to enjoy it because we get into great detail about how to talk to these sellers, what to say to them, and how to get them to say yes. All right, hope you enjoy it. If you like it, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I appreciate it. Thanks. I think the question, says, well, I think I would get specific with him on the questions, like, so are you good with this price? Are you good with what was 125 is what you wanted, right?
He sounded like he was good. I don't know. I think Bill's just tough. That's what I think.
Let's ask some of the other people. What do you guys think? Was I too tough, or do you think that was real?
I think you're tough, but I think it was real.
It was realistic. Yeah.
You're like no nonsense.
What was the thing that really turned you off? Like you said it was too good to be true, which is, I never hear that. I never ever hear anybody say, "Oh, this is too good." Like, But so, I mean, really, what was the thing that I didn't get for you?
It's a good question.
Well, good.
I think the way you find out is by asking very specific questions, like, are you good with the $125,000? Would you be happy if you got a property sold like that? Are you good with that? Let's go ahead and have this dialogue, Bill.
Okay.
Are you good with that 125,000?
Yeah, well, that's what my asking price is. That's what's on Zillow. So yeah, why not?
Okay, so if I got you a $125,000 lease option buyer, you'd be good with that.
Yeah. So
okay, and
I just want to clarify. So you already explained to me what a lease option is, right?
Right.
Yeah, that would be fine. Yeah.
Right. And we're looking at $1,500 a month, right?
Well, that's what you said. Yeah. I mean, I was getting less than that, but if you can get 1,500, that would be good.
And by the way, I think that's too much, but my guess is it'd be closer to $1,200 or $1,100.
1,200. Yeah, I was thinking that too.
But let's say it's 15. So 15, but you'd be good with $1,500 a month if I got you that amount.
Yeah.
I mean that brings you $600 extra a month income that you didn't have before. So that's something that's attractive to you.
Yes.
Okay. And a 3-year term on this, so you don't have to worry about re-upping somebody every year. Are you good with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that. Yeah, she was in there for 6 years, so I'd be good with that.
Okay. I mean, these people may want to stay longer than that. They may exercise their option and cash you out within that 3-year period, and they may not. Only about 30% of them do. And then as far as the them taking care of the property themselves and not having, you don't have to do the lawn and you don't have to do the furnace and those types of things. You're okay with it.
I don't understand. How do you get them to do that?
That's something that they're agreeing to do. That's part of the agreement that I've created. So I've created a lease option agreement that protects the seller, and I did it because I believe the seller is the one that has the most risk in these transactions.
I see.
So that's why we created a document that basically protects you.
Okay.
And the way that I'm making money, are you okay with me making money?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, everybody's got to make money.
Yeah, because I'm going to raise the price of the property, and I'm going to make a profit on this deal. And they're going to make the buyer is the one that's going to be paying it. You don't have to pay it, so you don't have any realtor fees. That if you tried to sell this with a realtor, had you thought about selling with a realtor, by the way?
To be honest with you, my wife wants me to sell it, but I don't know. I mean, it was kind of like out of sight, out of mind for all these years. And I was helping my brother's kid out, so I don't mind not selling. I just don't want, I was hassle free for 6 years. So I wanted to just sell it and just get rid of it. We don't need the house anymore. We couldn't sell it before. I think it's to a point now where we can sell it. I just don't want the hassle because
Do Do you know what it was worth 6 years ago?
I think we paid 94 or 96,000 for it.
So it's worth about $30,000 more now because you kept it there over those 6 years.
I think so, yeah.
So you made that much money on it, even though you didn't make any cash flow at all.
Right.
Right. Now, if you'd made this cash flow, if you'd made an extra $500 a month on it over a 6-year period, that's $6,000 a year over 6 years. That's 36,000 on top of that you would have made if you had done that.
Don't tell me that. I feel bad.
Then there's also some other money that you made on this property that you may not even have been aware of. I'm assuming you put it on your tax returns, right?
Okay, yeah.
So you got tax depreciation on that property, which is probably bringing in about $1,000 in real tax savings every year. So you're making that just by owning this property. You're making $1,000 a month just on your taxes. And then, of course, every month you pay down that mortgage a little bit. And on that $90,000 mortgage, that $850 payment, probably close to $200 of it is principal. So you're making another $200 a month on that. So that's about $2,400 a year that you're making on that. So over a 6-year period, there's another, $12,000 that you made, $13,000 that you made. So having this property and keeping it, it was very smart, even though it may not have seemed like it at the time to you.
Well,
And
that's not what my wife thought at the time.
because you're talking about $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 that you've made on this property simply by holding on to it.
Yeah.
Just by making sure somebody cut the grass.
I never thought of it before, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I mean, owning rental property, I don't know why everybody doesn't just keep their properties. It's insane to sell your properties. And I don't know why people don't do it. So anyway, I think I can get this thing going for you. We could probably get it, somebody in here in the next 3 weeks, month, maybe even quicker than that. I'll get it out to my list immediately.
What happens if you find somebody and I don't like them? I mean,
Yeah, you don't have to take them, but I can tell you that if I like them, you're going to like them.
Okay.
Because I don't put somebody in my properties that I don't think that can make the payments and is going to do a decent job for it, So I don't think you're going to have a problem with anybody that I bring you, but it's right in this agreement, on this agreement that I'm going to send you. It's a 1-page document. It just says that if you're not happy with them, you don't have to take them. And if you are happy with them, then you take them, so it's not rocket science. And we're going to do all the background check on them. You don't have to mess with that. We'll do a background check. We'll make sure that they're copacetic and that they've got the income to pay this for you. So it's not going to be a big headache.
okay, good. Let's do it. It sounds like something I want to do.
Okay. Are you close to a computer right now?
No, but I will be in a couple hours.
Okay, so I'm going to send you a PDF file that all you have to do is or I'm going to send you a link, and all you have to do is go to this link and fill out this form. You got to fill in the price, fill in the 3 years, and you fill in the monthly payment, and you hit send, and it's an electronic signature, and it sends it to me, and it'll send you a copy of it, and we'll be good to go, and I'll start the process, and we're gonna put a lockbox on the front door, and I'll need to get a key from you. I'll send somebody over to get the key from you. We'll put a sign in the front yard. We'll put it on Zillow, and we'll market it to my list. We're gonna do everything we can to get this sold as quickly as possible to a good lease option buyer that you can feel comfortable about, and continue to continue to make money and make even more money than what you made previously.
Good. Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna go into a meeting, and when I get done with that, I'll get on the computer and check it out. Is your phone number on there in case I have a question?
Yes, I'll put my phone number on there. Just give me a call, and we'll get the ball rolling.
Sounds good. All right, cool.
Thanks, Bill. We appreciate it.
How come you were so nice to Joe?
I think he's right. I didn't realize this till just now. It's like you kind of like do the 30,000 view level, and he went down and kind of got into the details and kind of got into like, how-
He does. I want Joe to do my phone calls for me. That'd be awesome.
if you could get Joe Crump to do your phone calls,
I've already given. He's not doing that. He's not doing that at all. We already have an agreement that he's not doing anything, and I'm doing all the work,
Wait a
and I
minute.
agreed to that. So that's just
Signed
how it
up
is.
to say that?
Yeah, it's true.
Joe was good on the phone because he got you to sign the documents to do all that, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, just point blank. I mean, it felt comfortable with Joe. It didn't feel uncomfortable with you, but it was a little bit. There was some vagueness there.
I'm kind of pushy. I hear that I'm kind of pushy. So,
But anyways, it was good because of the details, and he just kind of covered it. That just on the receiving end of it. That's all. You know what I mean?
I haven't done it in so long. I mean, I've actually done more role plays with you, I think, than I've actually talked to real buyers lately. No, it's not true. It's different because they call me, so it's a completely different conversation if they call you.
Yes.
I think that it really comes down to, first of all, having knowledge of the situation, and then being able to express that to people, and really listening to what they need, and listening to they're going to give you all kinds of signals about, I think one of the signals Bill's was given Daniel is, I'm not ready yet. And by the time he and I had the conversation, he was ready. And so you just have to keep digging and keep finding out where the problem is, and keep saying, are you okay with this? Well, why not? If you're not okay with this, what would you be okay with? And so you have to figure out what's going to work for these people. And if they're not okay with something, then explain why, what their other options are. Because I think that it really does come down to, what are your options? You can keep this you can sell this property for cash right now, and you walk away with the $25,000 you make, and everybody's happy. But what if you could actually make another $50,000 or $100,000 over these next 3-4 years? Would you want to do that? Would it make more sense to hold on to this property? And when you start putting it into those terms, and you start showing people where they're actually making money, they're going to start thinking, and especially if you have the attitude that you'd have to be stupid not to do that. You'd have to be stupid to give away $50,000. Why would you want to give away $50,000? I'm not asking you for $50,000 out of my pocket. You're giving it away.
It sounds different coming out of your mouth calling somebody stupid than if I do it.
So I think we should play a little game if you let us. I think people that are listening should type in the chat why, just a couple words, why I was selling the house. What was my purpose of selling the house? I'd be curious to know what they think. Like, why am I selling this house? Like, what did Joe work on when he was talking to me? Because he got it out of me. Daniel didn't, but he did. So type in the chat. Is that okay, Joe? We do that? Just a couple words, like, why did you think the wife wanted to sell? Umberto said he wanted no hassles. Okay. No. Okay. So that is right, Esther. It was, see, I gave up on this house when I moved into my new house 6 years ago. And the fact that it's over there and it wasn't bothering me, I didn't care. So either I sold it and got my cash, or I didn't want hassles. It wasn't about making money. It wasn't about like I'm under pressure. I want to live my life, and I don't want to deal with that house. Now it seems like it's a sleight of hand, like I don't want it, but it doesn't take much to have somebody call me and say something with that house to kind of set me off. That's kind of like what was going on, right? It's like I just don't want to deal with it. The fact that I put a relative in there and that she was low maintenance, and I told all that to them. Right. So that is correct. The reason why I was selling is because I didn't want the hassles. I wasn't making money from it anyways, because I'm like,
He didn't think he was making money from it, even though he was.
Right. And then Joe comes along and he summarized how I was making money, right? Yeah, Joe made it worth my while, right? But
I suddenly showed you it was a cash cow instead of a liability, and
Yeah.
and that it would actually be dumb to get rid of a cash cow.
Yeah, and he eloquently made it nice and easy and smooth, and like in a couple paragraphs or a couple minutes, he was like, "Oh yeah, I never thought of that." Right? But it happened because I did my tax returns for 6 years, and there it was. Just never added it up.
But what I did for that seller was I threw out an idea bomb, that just exploded his idea of what his reality was, because he had one reality, and I exploded it and turned it into something else, because he missed that whole point of why that property was valuable to him.
And realize, I mean, last event we did some live calls, but realize very, very, very soon you need to realize that these calls are very conversational, like what we're doing here. There is no roteness to this at all. They're very relaxing, very conversational, like you're talking to your brother or sister on a Saturday night while watching the football game and drinking beer type of thing. I mean, I don't know if you do that or not, but my point is it's just a relaxing, conversational, by the way, type of a conversation. Because
You
that's
guys
how,
remember Columbo? Remember Columbo?
yeah.
That's what he did.
He's got his hands on a door. Well, I was wondering.
I'm surprised you decided not to keep it. You did decide to keep it, though.
Yeah, no, but my point, but I was doing that because I said that to Daniel, like, why don't I just do this myself? Like, why do I need you?
Right.
And that's what I think he's saying is that I could have rented it on my own and kept it myself. But, honestly, so Jerry, if that does come up, Jerry's quiet. So if that does come up, realize that Joe point blank said to me, I'm going to try to make $5,000.
No, that was Dan. That was Daniel who said that.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, because I would have tried to make more than that.
Okay, so the point
I want 10%. I want 10%.
So the point is that that's what Daniel said. So if the buyer is paying the fees and it's not costing me anything, then why wouldn't I want Joe to do it all for me? He knows how to do it. I mean, I am keeping it myself because he's going to get me the tenant. So technically, whatever money Joe makes or Daniel makes, it's for doing the matchmaking, right? And doing all the paperwork. So I'd have to go hire an attorney. I'd have to spend some money on marketing or go spend my time on it. And it's not really worth it if the buyer is paying it already anyways. So,
and if somebody asks, well, why shouldn't I do it? I said, well, it's kind of like hiring an attorney. They always say that if you act as your own attorney, you just hired the stupidest guy in the room. If you want an idiot as an attorney, you should hire yourself. And that's kind of the way it is with selling your property. You want to get somebody who knows what they're doing. If I hire an attorney, I want to hire somebody who's qualified. If I hire somebody to clean my house, I want to hire somebody that does a good job, that I don't have to do it. I don't necessarily have to do everything in my life. I hire that stuff out to other people.
My one sentence response to that is I don't prescribe myself with my own medicine. Why would you?
Yeah.
Because that's really what it is. I mean, you could with the medicine, you could take one pill and then it changes everything. The wrong pill and it changes everything, right? This real estate transaction for that guy is the same way. He could have one document that could be wrong and change everything.
Yeah.
Same exact thing.
Or finding the wrong tenant.
Yeah.
That's why newbie landlords are so adamant about not wanting to do it, because one bad tenant makes your life miserable. And there's always a risk of that, even with a qualified investor. But It's a lot less likely.
I just bought a 2-family house, and the reason why I bought it is because it needs a roof. They put an insurance claim in for the roof, got $19,000 for the roof. The tenant stopped paying the beginning of 2021. And for some reason, there's a property management company that did a really shitty job. And it took them 10 months to get it out. And she used the insurance money to pay $11,000 to get them out. And now doesn't have enough money for the roof, and has a house that is completely like a hoarder house, and it costs $3,000 to clean it out, plus a whole bunch of damage, about $10,000 worth of damage. So like that, she was buried. And I bought the house, I took it over subject to, and I'm doing it right now. You know, and it's just all the stuff you're talking about. It was one landlord with one house. They were too busy running their life. They're both, you know, they both got high power jobs, not paying. All the property managers taking care of it, out of sight, out of mind. And then all of a sudden, one day they wake up, bam! Like, what is this? What is this bill? What is that for? What is this? And they're like, what do you mean? And they're like, oh my God. And they want it out. And I know these people, and so I've seen them a few times, and every time they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you made it so easy for us to get out of that property.
Yeah, they're great. They're grateful. They don't feel like you screwed them. They're grateful.
Every time I see them, I can't believe you helped us get out of that property so easily. And it's a nightmare for me. I mean, I've been at it for 2 months now. It's a total nightmare, but I knew that when I went in, and the upside is tremendous. I mean, I think this thing will probably pull 1,300 to 1,500 a month positive cash flow on a 2-family.
On nearly every deal that I've done, especially on when I buy properties dramatically under market value from individual sellers, and when I was a realtor, especially, I would tell them, you know, I can list this property for you, and it'll take this long to do. I can make you this much money, or I can buy it from you, but I'm only going to give you this much money, and I'll just pay you cash for it, and we'll close it within 30 days. You know, which one do you prefer? And they almost always take the lower price. And when we started working on absentee owners, we did a bunch of those for a while, and we were trying to get them all on terms. And so we'd offer them $40,000 on terms for this, you know, wreck of a property, and or we'll give you $20,000 in cash. And over and over, they just kept that, accepting the $20,000 in cash. You know, so I was like, well, I'd rather do the terms, but no, they're taking the cash. And actually getting that 20,000 was not that difficult. So
you have to realize when we're doing this, the cool thing that you don't realize until you start talking to enough people is their reality check, right? So first of all, like, if once you start to do a couple deals or even just a little bit of homework, you'll know what your buyers are willing to pay in your area. So if you know, like Daniel knows that he can get $125,000 for this house, right? He knows that because he sells them, or he knows that already. He also knows that he can get $1,200 a month for a rent. So once you do a couple of them, once you know what you can sell for, your negotiating comes a lot easier because you know what your caps and your parameters are, right? So you know you just got to be below 125 or below the 11 or 1200, or you know that you could push it from 125 to 135 because you know that you got some benefit there, right? And then the other thing is, which it took me a long time to learn, you should always bounce what we're doing off of the realtor because they're the other game in town. So it's like you'll say, well, if you live, they say, I don't want to do 90 days. Well, a realtor would want 6 months, right? And they'll be like, oh yeah, I guess you're right. You know, so you want to bounce off their other choices or their other available resources. You know, like for example, like we were talking about with the buyer when we were doing the buyer phone call, I just had this happen to me yesterday. It's like they're putting down $25,000 on a property and they're a little skittish about it. And I'm like, look, it's very simple. You're doing a lease option with me. if you were to buy this house right now and put down $25,000 towards your mortgage, you put down 25,000 and got a mortgage for the rest, you buy the house. You would do that, right? Oh yeah, we would do that. Okay, good. So if you didn't make your payment and they foreclosed, would you lose your $25,000? They're like, yeah, of course. Well, this is the same thing. You put down $25,000. If you don't make your payments, you lose the money. It's the same thing. But you got to think like that could happen to them, right? So you gotta realize that you got to come out of your cocoon a little bit and realize that what other choices they have out there, and what we're offering them is much better than all of that stuff. So I learned a little tangent there, but you got to think of that stuff.
Conventional wisdom is what people are thinking all the time, and we're showing them something that's an alternative to conventional wisdom, something that works better and serve more people in different ways. Not everybody fits into that paradigm. 75% of the people can't get a mortgage, can't have the American dream. And everybody that we're selling lease option on, none of them can go get a mortgage. So we're giving opportunities for people to have properties that they could not have had any other way. Jerry asked a question: what made you decide to provide a tenant for the seller rather than try to buy it? Jerry, I was just doing the for rent method. If I was having this conversation about the property, we'd probably buy it. And that's the thing that both Daniel and Bill do regularly. They don't usually do the for rent method. They usually just buy the properties and keep them for their portfolio. The reason I'm teaching you guys the for rent method is because it's an opportunity to get cash without any liability or any risk. It allows you to put a deal together and start from beginning to the end and see how it all comes together and put a chunk of cash in your pocket. That's the for rent method. And you can do that over and over again. And then you're going to start looking at it and saying, what if I kept those properties? That was the step 7 in this thing where you actually start building a portfolio. And that's what these guys are doing that turns them into millionaires. That's what gets you to the seven figures, and starts building a portfolio that's going to serve you for the rest of your life. And that doesn't take that long. I mean, that takes a couple of years, if you do one deal a month. I'm going to show you how to do that on the Millionaire Matrix when we get back from lunch, and I'll show you exactly how those numbers play out. And because I think once you see those numbers, you start to realize, wow, the power of compound interest, the power of compound properties, and what it does for your bottom line, for your portfolio, for your asset base. It really happens fast. Once you get this concept down, and once you start putting together deals, you put together one, you can do the second one. You get through the second one, you get the third and the fourth and the fifth. And even if you only did one a month or one every 2 months, it can be a great living. It doesn't, a couple of these, one every 2 or 3 months, and you replace most people's income. You're making $50,000, $75,000 a year. You can replace that with one every 2 or 3 months. More than that, probably.
So what will happen eventually? Right now, you're just trying to make a deal. So you're doing whatever you can do to make a deal. And what will happen? This is kind of like, you'll realize, so Daniel's going to buy a $125,000 house. I'm going to buy an $800,000 house. Daniel could make $50,000 on a $125,000 house. I could make $100,000 on an $800,000 house. It's just money on money. It's just the ratios, right? Just for an example. Here's the important thing. I do the same work that Daniel does for more money. It's the same work. It's the same conversation. It's the same paperwork. It's the same effort. It's the same deal hunting. Everything's the same, except I'm in a pond that has more profit, right? So what you'll do is it's kind of like that. As you're doing your deals, what Joe's saying is as you're doing your deals, you'll realize you're doing the same things, but you're starting to be more aware of them. And you'll be making better deals for yourself because you'll be more aware of them, especially if you come to the coaching calls, you'll be more aware of, well, maybe I don't want to do a rent to own on this. Maybe I do want to keep this and like make this much money. And you'll realize that as you go through the process of talking to people. But right now, you just need to figure out what to say when and get a deal and go through the process at least once to see how it works. So as you progress, then these things will work out in your mind and you'll start seeing things you didn't see the first time. Right? Make sense?
Yeah.
So conversation.
Making those calls is going to be important, and getting that ball rolling. I know I sound like a broken record, but making the calls, because the people that succeed in this program made the calls. That's the only people that succeeded. 100% of the people that made the calls made money, and 100% of the people didn't make the calls didn't make any money. So it really does come down to that, and you don't have to do it forever. I'm an example of that. I don't make these calls anymore. And even if you talk to Bill and Daniel, they don't make them nearly as often. And when they do, they're much more productive with them. So their closing ratios are much, much higher, so that they have to make way fewer calls. They don't make 100 calls to put a deal together. They make 2 calls to put a deal together, or 3 calls to put a deal together. So it's a really, it changes the world when you have the competence and the experience and the ability to do that.
So it does. And the interesting thing is I for many years turned it on, turned it off. I need some money, so I would make some deals. And then I'd have plenty of money and I'd go off, do something else. And then it was like, oh, I need some more money. So I go make some more. And you can turn it on and off. Once you have it, you turn it on and off whenever you want. You should never turn it off, but I did a few times.
Yeah, if you put it on autopilot and you automate it and you outsource it, then it just keeps going without you.
Well, that's all new because years ago it was harder to do automation, but nowadays it's so simple.
Yeah.